Hey, so I have restarted recording this video multiple times, but this time I'm not gonna hit stop, I'm just gonna keep going, so here we go. I've decided to take on a little project where I rewatch Star Trek The Next Generation from the beginning and make little YouTube clips where I review episodes. And I might do one episode review per clip, or I might watch a few episodes and then do a clip where I talk about a chunk. I mean, we'll see. It's a little unstructured. We'll see how it goes. But I'd love to hear your feedback. Please comment on YouTube, comment on my blog, and one of the things I really want to do is try to get some guest people in my videos. Maybe Tim will do a video with me. Maybe some of my friends will watch an episode with me, or they'll watch it separately and then we can make a video together. I may even use Google Hangouts as a way to do some videos with people who aren't in the same place with me. Anyway, so that's what you have to look forward to in this particular video series, me and maybe some other people talking about episodes of Star Trek The Next Generation. And I should mention that I plan on rating each episode with some sort of rating system. My first thought was to do like a Riker's beard rating system where it goes from clean-shaven Riker to Thomas Riker with the goatee to full bearded Riker. So it's like a 3-star system, but that's not very... There's a lack of dynamics in a 3-star system, and there's really only 3 phases of the beard. I could add a mustache phase that never happened, and I could probably add like the crazy full beard that happened in that one episode with the multiple universe enterprises, but I don't know. So we'll see. It might be something different. Every show will be a different rating system. It might not be a real thing. So here we go. So I rewatched Encounter at Farpoint, which is the first episode of Star Trek The Next Generation, and I have a few thoughts. First of all, let's go through the bad things. The bad things about this episode, it doesn't really work as a pilot. You can tell that there was an original concept for the episode, which was that the ship goes to this space station, which they discover is actually an enslaved alien. And then the network wanted it to be longer, and they had Roddenberry stretch it out, and he and DC Fontana did that by creating the Q character. And you can tell that it's a little forced. I don't think that Q was a mistake. I think Q helps the episode a lot. That being said, I feel like all the actors are trying a little too hard, like they're taking it super serious, and Patrick Stewart has talked about this in interviews and in conventions, where in the beginning of the series he was like, we're here to work, and this is, you know, he took it very, very seriously, and his classmates, his cohorts, his castmates were a little more lighthearted and wanted to laugh and have fun, and he eventually warmed up to that. But I think that kind of like, let's really sell this is a drama, comes through in these first couple episodes in a really bad way. It comes off a little like, I don't know that I like these characters. They're a little cardboard. But Captain Picard keeps referring to people by name, and I know that the writers did that so that we as an audience would learn who that woman standing behind the captain's chair at the tactical station is. It's Tasha Yar. So he says, I know that, Lieutenant Yar. You know, it's almost like Picard has studied on his pad all of his new crew's name, and he just wants to prove to everyone that, oh, I already know your name, I already learned your name, you know. But anyway, whatever. It's just something that I kept getting distracted by watching the episode. Like, why do they keep saying everyone's name out loud? Like, just talk to them. Speaking of the characters, I just have to say that Counselor Troi is incredibly annoying in this episode, and I love her as a character. I love how she developed over time. I mean, the last couple seasons of The Next Generation, she's a whole different person, and I you know, not to look into my crystal ball because I'm not there yet on my rewatch, but she's just so annoying and like, I sense something, Captain. You know, come on, no, I did. Luckily, so the good things. Watching any Star Trek The Next Generation, but especially these first few episodes, just feel like my childhood all over again. I know a lot of people don't like Wesley Crusher. I can understand how as an adult watching the show, he's an annoying character, but little 8-year-old Mike was like all about Wesley Crusher. Like, oh, he's such a lucky kid. Like, you know, he's on that ship getting to live his dream and do exactly what I want to do. And I love the fact that he's, you know, so smart. He sits down in the captain's chair and he already knows all about the controls and everything. Like, that was me. That's who I wanted to be. I wanted to be Wesley Crusher. I identified with him. I thought he was awesome. I was really sad when he left the show. Looking back on it now, I'm like, God, this annoying kid, like, why? Like, I get it. I get that they want to have kids on the Enterprise because it makes sense and it's part of the sort of utopian future that Roddenberry was trying to create. But like, it just doesn't make sense. And whatever. We'll get to that in a few episodes once he's like driving the ship. But anyway, the good thing about this episode is that it really brings back a nostalgic thing for me. Let's talk about this brand new Galaxy-class starship, and they keep pushing that. Let's see what this new starship can do. It's beautifully designed, and the model is beautiful. We get to see a saucer separation, which is a little silly that they take so much time to do the saucer separation. Like, I get that it's a new thing, and they spent money on these effects, but I mean, it just grinds the episode to a halt. They play the main title theme over again and slowly watch the ship separate. And I mean, there's a great podcast on the Trek FM network called Earl Grey, and they talked about this, how if you saucer separate and the saucer section does not have warp drive and you're traveling at warp, as soon as it separates, you think that saucer section would flip out of the warp bubble and it would be disastrous. But that somehow doesn't happen. Whatever. But the ship is gorgeous and it's such a brilliant design. And yeah, that's all I can say. Of course, this episode gives us not only a new starship, but new uniforms. The Next Generation uniforms, although they evolved over time, started out very strong, bold colors, absolutely love it, very 80s, very my childhood. Yeah, I absolutely, I can't rave more about the Star Trek The Next Generation uniforms. I really like that kind of, that chop up design on the bottom of the black. Like, why not, you know what I mean? Yeah, they're great. And the best thing about the uniforms in this episode is that we see a few scants. And if you don't know what that is, it's like skirt pants. It's the uniform that's basically like a mini skirt. Counselor Troy wears it in this episode, but they make sure that you also see men wearing the scant uniform because it was supposed to be a unisex uniform. And a lot of people make fun of that, but realistically, I think what Roddenberry was trying to do, even though he wasn't allowed to introduce gay characters on his show in the 80s, he was trying to present a kind of gender equality, that our clothing doesn't matter. Men can wear dresses, women can wear pants. You know, we've moved beyond those kinds of petty gender identification issues in the future. So I'm all for the scant. Yay, pro scant. Great. Another great thing about this episode, it introduces the Q character, which I already mentioned before. He's one of the best characters in Star Trek The Next Generation. He appears multiple times, one of my favorite characters. He moves so far beyond that Roddenberry God character that he seemed to be obsessed with, that we keep re-meeting these aliens that think they're God. Q kind of started out that way, but in the end he developed into a really fascinating three-dimensional character, and a lot of that has to do with John Delancey. So the fact that we got Q in this episode is a big plus. I also like that Q gives us a brief history of mankind. It's one of the best things about this as a pilot, because he talks about how man has evolved through, you know, their history of warfare, and we flash back to this post-apocalyptic time where these kangaroo courts were happening and all the lawyers have been killed. The fact that it's the first time in Star Trek, I think, that we really acknowledge that the only way we got to where we are is by things getting so bad that they kind of had to get better. which is a fascinating part of the overall Star Trek universe that this episode sets up really well. You know, it's been a long time getting from there to here, as some would say. The best thing about this episode, it sets up All Good Things, which is the final episode, which is probably my all-time favorite episode. So yeah, I think those were my thoughts on Encounter at Farpoint. So what's my rating? I'm gonna give it a clean shaven. It's not quite, you know, a mustache. I don't know. I gotta figure out this rating system better. Anyway, I'll put a link down below if you want to know more about Encounter at Farpoint. The Trek FM podcast show, Earl Grey, did a great episode about Encounter at Farpoint. I recommend giving it a listen. Make sure you like and subscribe to my videos, and peace out. Awesome.